Welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Zone. I'm your co-host, Tom Spitalere. And tonight we have a special request that came in to revisit the Bridgewater Triangle because of some weird phenomenon just came in recently. So we're going to do that. But before we get started, Bob's still away on assignment. Melissa's on her way on assignment tonight. So we're just going to handle the Bridgewater Triangle. But we get some exciting stuff coming this year. Haunted Hilldale is around the corner, folks. The most haunted cemetery in all of New England. We'll be starting up their ghost hunts real soon. It's been very weird weekend weather around here. And we have a real interesting case going on in southern New Hampshire right now that's been taking up most of our weekends. We also got a big case in Essex County that's taking up a lot of our time too. And we have a case in the other end of Essex County along the New England seacoast. So we got three major cases we're working on right now all at once. So we got a lot going on. We're very excited here. We've been so busy that I don't have time to breathe or think. It's interesting how time flies when you don't have a lot of time to think or breathe or sleep. With that said, we keep moving forward here, and tonight we're going to revisit the haunted woods of the Bridgewater Triangle. So welcome tonight to the Paranormal Zone, high atop Jesse's Diner, great Jesse's Diner, here in beautiful Lawrence, Massachusetts, in the plush studios of Lawrence Community Access TV. So we want to welcome everybody. And we want to welcome you to a very interesting night. A night of intrigue, a night of interest, a night of weird animals, a night of UFOs, a night like it never was before. But tonight, we will be revisiting the Bridgewater Triangle. So welcome again, everybody. So when did this all happen? Well, this area, southeastern Massachusetts, has been haunted since the beginning of time. But sometime around 1978, 77, this great book came out. I call it the Bible of Cryptozoology, written by Lauren Coleman, Mysterious America. And that's where it was coined, the Bridgewater Triangle. It's in southeastern Massachusetts, roughly about 200 square miles. At each tip of it is Abington, Rehoboth, and Freetown at the point. Brockton, Whitman, West Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, Middleborough, Dighton, Berkeley, Raymond, Norton, Eaton, Lakeville, Assonet, Seacon, and Taunton. 14 towns inside, 3 outside, 17 towns. Imagine that. 17 towns. And inside that we have the Hockomock Swamp. So the Bridgewater Triangle is about 200 square miles. The Hockomock Swamp is 16,950 acres of land, of intrigue, of mysterious intrigue. So if you ever go down there, be careful. We're going to talk a lot of why that Hockomock Swamp is so mysterious and scary. The history of it. It's a 17th century swamp that was a fortress for the Wampanoag King, King Philip, during the early stages of World War I, or what some people would call the French-Indian War. He would launch attacks from there. Natives relied on the swamp to provide food, shelter, and even protection. And it was a sacred burial place for the Wampanoags. They worshipped the land and something called it the Hobomok, the chief dolly of death and disease. The Hobomok, composed of human souls of the dead, was known to congregate congregate in the once known of later became the Hockomock Swamp. Also seen down there, thunderbirds, Bigfoots, and many other things. All right, so with that, years ago, the Essex County Ghost Project went into the Hockomock Swamp. And every time we called out the great king, King Philip of Metacon, the leader of the Native American tribe down there, the wind would pick up out of nowhere. So it was quite interesting. The more we walked in, and the more we realized we weren't alone. So that's the swamp. Glowing orbs, ghost sightings, strange animals. You have to watch out for also real animals. Northern rattlers are in there. I'd watch out for bigger snakes than that, because some people just drop them in the swamps thinking they'll maybe survive, maybe they won't, and they have actually pulled reticulated snakes out of the Bridgewater Triangle. So again, be real careful, because you don't know what's in that swamp and what's waiting for you. Recently, I was told over the telephone by somebody they were walking in the swamp and tail end of this past winter, and they felt a very heavy presence. It scared him enough to get out, but he went back in, and when he went back in, he followed some Bigfoot markers until they just disappeared. It was really interesting, he said. We had no time to get down there to actually fully investigate that claim, but that was a big one. I was also recently told, as of a couple days ago, there might have been some UFO sightings over the Hockomock Swamp. So again, it's real interesting if you want to check it out. The next thing is the Freetown State Forest. Strange and animal mutilations were reported, cult activity, pukwudgie, small troll-like creatures from the Wampanoag folklore. The forest features notorious sites like the Ledge, Profile Rock. There have been sightings of Bigfoot, locally known as Masquatch, thunderbirds, and giant snakes. So you don't know what you're going to find out there. So you have to be real careful. Freetown State Forest is 323 acres of land. So that's something you have to be real careful about when walking through there. So back to the Freetown State Forest. 323 acres of land. It started with And then in 1659, in 1683, the Wampanoags were very powerful in this area. And you had to watch out. The natives believed in puckwudgies. They were 2 to 3 feet tall, known for making friends with you and then either bringing to your death or kidnapping you. So that's one you have to be. I'm just going to go back to my notes here. Come on, notes. Reappear for me. All right, here we go. Freetown State Forest. Freetown State Forest is publicly owned, covering about 5,000 plus acres of land. It falls in the area of Fall River and the towns of Freetown, Lakeville, and in that end of southeastern Massachusetts. The land was first on land of the Osanet, and the forest purposes of 1913 purchased the land and 9 acres around Forge Pond, Levy, Churchill, Berkeley. The majority of land acquired over the 20 years beginning in the 1930s. Recent additions to the forest included 87 acres of land in 2012, 29 acres in 2015, 77 acres in 2015 in Assonet, and 613 acres in 2015 in Lakeville. The Civilian Conservation Corps actually worked this property. So, even though it's located in the mysterious Bridgewater Triangle, known for its stuff, but it's also a crime-ridden area. In November of 1978, the body of Mary Lou Arata, was a 15-year-old cheerleader, was abducted from Raynham on September and was discovered tied to a tree at the state forest. James M. Cater of Brockton, previously convicted of kidnapping in 1967, was also charged and convicted for the murder of Arata in 1979. The Massachusetts Supreme Court overturned the verdict, and he was convicted again in 1986. The verdict once again was overturned. He was retried in 1992 with the attempt ending in a mistrial. In 1980, while investigating another local murder, people had been approached by individuals who claimed to witness satanic cult activity in the forest too. Some reports were hearing of a fourth Cater trial in 96 to 2000, which ended in the conviction upheld. In 1996 trial, the defense struck a charge that the police withheld information relating to the alleged satanic cult activity, which they claimed could have provided an alternative for Cater. 3 more murders were subsequently related to the state forest in 87. A transient drifter mistaken for an undercover police officer was murdered in the forest. In 2001, 2 men were found shot dead at Bell Rock Road, which runs through the forest. 2 assaults were reported in Fall River in New Bedford in 1998. Another instance of hazardous dumping in 96. Reports of an escaped emu wandering the forest in 2006. 2015, a woman slid down feet down a cliff while painting graffiti, broke her ankle and had to be rescued. In January 2016, an illegally dumped boat was discovered. In May 2016, wire cables were found stretched across recreational trails in an apparent way that caused harm to motorcycles. So, Freetown has some real interesting interesting activity going on. Mm. So when we went out to Freetown State Forest years ago, we actually ran into weird oddities. Didn't see anything major, but we had some interesting photographs taken where you didn't think something was, then oops, it appeared. Recently, an investigator friend of mine, was part of Essex County, was out there and he thought he heard some whooping sounds. He also felt like he was being followed, which does not surprise me one bit, because I would think I was being followed when I was out there. The place is really interesting at best, so I honestly thought at times I was being followed out there. But he definitely felt like he was being followed. Through that area. So that's another one I'd be real careful out there. So there's also been animal rituals held out there, spectral balls of fire and Bigfoot sightings seen. So that's what's happening. Also recently someone swore they heard a roar of a Bigfoot inside the state forest. So that's one of the newer things going on out in the Freetown State Forest. All right, another cool place out there is Dighton Rock in Berkeley, Mass. It's a 40-ton boulder located at the Tufton River. Petroglyphs go way back, probably to the ancients, long before Native Americans. It was founded in 1963 while building a coffin dam. The boulder itself slated it was 6-sided, black gap, 5 feet high, 9.5 feet wide, and 11 feet long. It is a gray-brown crystallized sandstone. The inscription have thought to be done by Native Americans, maybe ancient Phoenicians, the Chinese, the Portuguese, and obviously the founding fathers of our country. So this has got some real interesting history if you ever get a chance to get out there. Again, we were out there and years ago and we caught a possible EVP on that. We've had some odd things happen, equipment fail in that area. So you never know what you're gonna find when you head out to Dighton Rock and the Bridgewater Triangle. Then you have Lakeville. Lakeville, Long Pond, 1,721 acres of land. 9 feet, 12 feet in March. 3 islands on it, Great Lewis and Nelson. And over those islands, people have seen strange lights in the wintertime. Strange lights flying over those islands. They're not that big, and actually most of them are inaccessible because they're private property. But they're not big at all, and they carry that type of dimensional stress or spirit stress on somebody. Would be interesting to see why. But there are 3 islands out there, and none of them, to my knowledge, are even inhabited. So if you see somebody on there, you know they've been there a while, and there's probably nothing left of them. So if you see that shadow figure, let us know. If you see anything down there, let us know. We're working on a huge triangle project right now, trying to pinpoint what was hearsay, what was seen, what can be trusted for information, and then go open up a full-blown case in the Bridgewater Triangle. Route 44 through Rehoboth and Seacon. Sometimes you can pick up a red-headed hitchhiker. He just sits in the car as you're driving, pretty much. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. So this 200 square mile with the forest and everything else is a diverse way of, in creatures even. So Pukwakis, deep-rooted Algonquin folklore of the Wampanoag tradition. These creatures are often described as 2 to 3 feet tall little people with troll-like features and glowing eyes. Described as dangerous tricksters, they said to have lured people to the woods using balls of light, and then they die and most commonly associated with the Freetown State Forest. So, Pudgewalkies, I've seen a few of those. I've dealt with a couple of them in Amesbury. The Bridgewater Bigfoot. For decades, these dense woods covered a hairy-like creature, roaming marshy terrain. And they were saying because there's a group of them getting, yes, the Pudgewalkies are saying there's a group of them that have been sighted in the Freetown State Forest. Same with the Bigfoot. There's been a generous number of sightings from the Bridgewater Triangle all the way up to northern Massachusetts, but up around my area, no one wants to talk about it. Down at the Bridgewater area, they'll be more than happy to talk about it. But so since most of you, have read this book, so you know what we're talking about here. The Bridgewater Bigfoot for decades roamed the dense swamp of its dense forest in this swamp and had been seen by a countless number of people. The next thing we're looking at is the Bridgewater Bigfoot. For decades, those woods, swamps, and triangle have been generated by numerous... What happened? So for years and decades, this swamp had been also generated numerous Bigfoot sightings. Witnesses described seeing a large, hairy, ape-like creature roaming the marshy terrains. So, I mean, they're there, they're out there. We have to be careful. Hockomock Swamp, long regarding giant, out-of-place serpents, local legends, and historical newspaper accounts frequently detail sightings of massive anacondas, water snakes swimming through the murky waters. Again, snakes are very adaptable to their location. Phantom hitchhiker. Along the roads bordering the swamp on Route 44, motorists have reported encounters with a strange red-headed phantom that appears inside your car or suddenly vanishes the side of the car. Side of the road, sorry, not the car. They've even been seen walking along cars. The mysterious of the area is often linked to the belief that land is cursed. Belief that the land is cursed. So, I mean, that's another one. There's a new book coming out on Phantom Hitchhikers that I'm hoping to actually get that author on. He's been on before. I'm not going to say who he is, but let's hope we can get him on. So that's some of the stuff that we ask ourselves. Are we going to see something different? And I will tell you, every year I've been down there, I have always seen something different. This time will be no change. No change at all. Except some new creatures in the Bridgewater Triangle. Nope, that's not what I want. So again, we've also had recent sightings in this area, very recent sightings. Someone said they saw something fly over their houses, which can be very scary for people. I had something fly over my house the other night in Methuen, which is outside the Triangle. I mean, these creatures go all over the place. They're not going to stay in one location. They're going to travel, so you may see them in more than one location. So that's, that's where everything stands with the swamp as of right now. But like I said, if you're going out there this summer to investigate, bring bug spray, bring rope, bring something you can attach to a tree real quick, and leave your rifles at home. It's more important you have this stuff because food can run scarce just outside the winter. This was like September. So food did run scarce that year. It could happen. It usually starts in the north and works its way down with the cold there. And that's pretty much the end of the show, but I do have a couple more things I'd like to talk about. Recently, I've been told that there was an accident in the last couple weeks down there, and the lady jammed her brakes on because she swears she saw someone crossing the street. I've seen that, but you usually don't cross highways, number one. Number two, we've gotten 4 other complaints total from the location we're in right now in Nashua, that we need to do everything. So, with that said, folks, I got to get prepared for another case. I'm heading back to my crypt. This was just a shortened version. We re-upped and rediscussed the Bridgewater Triangle. Check Essex County out on Facebook. We are almost booked solid for the month of October. And I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you in the paranormal. Good night, everybody. This is the Essex County Ghost Project and the Paranormal Zone. We are heading home to the crypt. Good night.